Everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. I'm one half of the Dungeons Wag team, and I want to hop back into the 3-5 monster manual. We are now on Medusa, and they have a gaze attack that turns you to stone, and they have a poison. And their stat block says they're the size of a human. They have dark vision, 60 foot, and they're otherwise they live in temperate marshes. They are archers because that's the go-to for something like this, I guess. All right, so I have several miniatures that we could be using. I have this, but I think that using the Medusa Marvel miniature might be the way to go here, just on principle. So I'm going to snip off her little pieces here. I'm going to get some glue. Oh, my glue is glued shut. There we go. Okay. That's remarkable. It actually, with that, the hole being smaller makes it so much easier to use. I needed that technique on multiple projects already. Didn't have it available at the time. Okay. All right, and there she is. And we're going to have to do some stuff to get some snakes going, and we have no snake heads that small. I looked through my stuff. I have nothing even remotely that tiny. I did go through this one box I have, and there were, like, we could use, where's it at? I've used them before, and if I dug through my parts box, there's some more of these snake heads. But it's just, they're ridiculously big, and you could only use them in certain spots. Well, you know what? Worst case scenario, we cut them off and we don't use them. We can see how that could work, though. Let's try it. Let's see what we can get out of these little snake heads. So let's snip those off flat and flush. And get that little piece off of there. I just feel like these heads are not going to be ideal for what we're trying to accomplish, but you never know. We might be pleasantly surprised with the end product. I'm learning English, bear with me. So if we're going to use these heads, I say we put the biting one on the front part there. And that's not terrible. All right. I say we put one of these little ones on this piece over here. And we're going to have to snip some more of the back of the head off, I think, to make that work. Where's the top? There's the top. Okay. And we have to angle that forward some so that you'll be able to tell what's going on with that, I'm sure, is going to be the issue there. And then I guess we can take this one here, snip that off and mount that last head. Okay. Where's the top? There's the top. Okay, that actually is not horrible. The issue I have is that it's not going to be, there should be more snake heads. Let's look in the parts box and see if we can find one of those that I've cut up before and get some parts off of it. It's probably going to be down in the bottom, I would guess, because it's very small. I don't know. What about that head? That's pretty small. That's about bigger than the other one. I'm going to hold this up in the air so I can look in the bottom. I don't see them. If it's in there, it's lost to the ages. I know I used them on the Cobalt project, though, because the open mouth Cobalt, I think that's what its head was, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't see... It's hard to find stuff in here without dumping it. And we're not dumping this in the middle of the video, because that's a whole big different endeavor. I might have thrown them in the big parts box, too, which is one of those giant, like, 4-foot-long things you roll under your bed. So that's not ideal. We can, don't think I have another one of those little snake people in my little people box, but maybe I do. That's more of a, well, we could steal that head. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's actually a little Medusa in here. I can't remember what color. She's probably green, I would guess. Yeah, look, there is a little Medusa in here. But it's more of a traditional Greek Medusa than what they're making the D&D Medusa. She's got like the snake bottom half and stuff. Because she's a, you know, in Greek lore, she's a Gorgon. She's not just, you know, a one-off creature. She's one of the Gorgons, which are some sisters that were cursed to be unliked. Oh, I barely lost that head there, didn't I? That was terrible. I cut it too badly. All right, I'm going to take this little piece off here and have it going the other way. Maybe not. I don't know if that was enough head to even use at this point. Yeah, I cut it too badly. We're not going to be able to use that. Okay. So anyways, we'll work with what we have, and I'm okay with that. Let me throw my extra HeroClix back in the HeroClix box here, so I don't get stuff all over them, because the other day I didn't realize it, and I blew glue off a model like that, and I glued some HeroClix to the table, and then we can just throw these in the parts box, and I'll grab those another time when we need parts. I usually don't let my parts box get that full. I kind of sip through it and put the bigger stuff in the my big parts box. But I got some bigger pieces in there right now, and that's okay. So we want these to be sturdy, so we're just going to kind of rub that glue along and get rid of any little seams that there were that we can't hide. And then we're going to get glue, and instead of using baking soda to really strengthen them up like I want to, I'm going to use a little magic here to get rid of that glue. Mine are burning hands. Spell. And then if you just get a toothpick, you could rub that out of there and get that out of the way. Just like that. Okay, now our boob is shiny. That's not what we were going for. So let's get a little glue on here. And strengthen these up. I really want to use baking soda to make sure it's sturdy, though, because that is the benefit of that bond, is it is powerful. I'm going to blow those off. Onto the shop floor, though. And we're just going to be super careful. And I'm just going to put the tiniest bit on those. I don't want to lose a bunch of texture, but I want those to be sturdy. Now I would guess that they're pretty sturdy. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're only 10 minutes in, so I'm going to go ahead and paint her too while we're at it, if nobody minds. Any objections? And I'm using this horrible satin dark walnut because now I love it. Yeah, if you've been watching the progression of videos, this color's been a problem, but it's not. It actually every time works out great. Alright, I'm back. So I had to go over to the booth. I moved the booth around so I had better ventilation with the fan. And the booth is now like about 8 foot behind me instead of like a 3 foot walk back. So I'm just kind of rearranging things. And I'm moving the booth again next time I get a day off. Actually, I'm rearranging everything when I get a day off down here in the shop. So I would argue that the gloves and the boots kind of ruin it, but at the same time, without having to do a lot of work, we got some decent stuff. So her skin is like a brownish color. I don't know. What's it, orange? But man, there's a lot of orange going through here. We've been tons of orange stuff through here lately. It seems like it. We've had a lot of orange stuff. Maybe not. I don't know. All right, so let's do her in browns because I like brown and you like brown and everybody likes brown. Brown's a good color. We're going to use brown. So I'm going to get some cardboard. I'm going to get this burnt umber apple barrel craft paint. I'm going to dampen up my brush a little bit so that the water or the paint flows smoothly and doesn't be chunky. And then I'm going to paint this Medusa up. So this is a little sticky. Because I focused on the model and not on my paint cap. And as you get layers of paint on this, it does kind of seem to never dry right to me. So there we go. Now it's not so tacky to hold on to. Alright. I'm going to hit her with the +2 hot air gun of burning. Since we've been using magic, we might as well stick with our theme. We've used minor burning hands and we've used the +2 hot air gun of burning already. So I feel like if we don't keep using magic, you're going to be devastated by the end results because you want magic. So I think what the secret to success here would be to do her hair in greens and her body in browns. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this lighter brown and I'm going to hit her with a crazy dry brush because I want to see what we can do here. And this might not work well, so don't just start doing it immediately as I'm doing it. You take your time and figure out what you want to do before you do this step. So I'm just going to hit as much of her to create variation and see where I want to do what. Having a significant step down like this might hamper our ultimate paint job, and it might not. We'll have to see how it turns out. There's been many times where I've done things like this and said, oh, that was a mistake, and it turned out working out. And let's hope this is one of those times. So we're looking at her now, and I think that we can, yeah, we can definitely do her in a tan and the snakes in a green, and I think we can like what we come up with. We can just simulate that all those are snakes, and people are going to see the big snake here, the big snakes on her, and they're going to know that she's Medusa. And I think that's kind of more important than too much of anything else as far as something like this miniature. So I'm going to get a beige color. This is called Territorial Beige. This one feels a little wet. It's not overly deafeningly wet. I do have another one somewhere over there that's not as wet. Okay, I'm just going to take this down. To a final tone for her that works. And I'm just not worrying about her hair. I'm worrying about her face and her body. Okay. And I'm pretty happy with that as a finished tone for her, honestly. So now let's look at her hair. Let's start with a dark color like this arbor green. I probably should be using paints for this instead of craft paints, but I'm not. And we want to be careful that we don't destroy any of the other work we've done, because we don't want to have to come back and do this again. And I'm hoping that if this paint is just thin enough that we can have a little bit of tone differential under this hair right off the bat to get us started. Again, not holding my breath, because sometimes these are a little thicker and clunkier, and this arbor green has proven to be just that, a little thicker and clunkier. And without feeling confident watering it down, like I don't feel like I had the experience with this color that I've watered it down to, because I usually used this stuff on terrain. I've gotten out of the habit of using craft paints on miniatures several years ago, and then just doing this channel. You have to understand, I don't make any money doing this. This is a hobby, and I don't want to spend all my money on crafting stuff. So I've been using a lot of craft paints, and also because I know I didn't have miniature paints, and I'm trying to teach people how to do stuff cheap. And for years I didn't have miniature paints at all. Like, I just didn't. I couldn't afford them. So part of me wants to stick to that kind of, you know, sometimes we use craft paints for stuff, because I want you to know that you can use craft paints, that you don't have to spend a bunch of money on miniature paints to make decent minis for your table. I will say that there are some benefits. For example, when I use Army Painter stuff, the consistency of every bottle I open is the same. That is phenomenal, to be able to use a color and buy it again and use it again and get the same quality out of it. That is a phenomenal benefit. Whereas when I buy a craft paint, sometimes it's really wet, sometimes it's chunky, sometimes it's not mixed right, and no matter how much I shake it, I can't get what I want out of it. You know, it's just a benefit of upgrading your paints. And I've only had like 2 things of Vallejo ever. I had a black and a white of Vallejo that came in like a here, take this kind of kit, I'm done crafting. And they were small, and there was a lot of it missing, and they were relatively good, it seemed like. But I didn't buy any, and I didn't have multiple jugs of them to... Actually, I had another color. I had 3 colors from Vallejo, because I still have that one blue. But I didn't have enough experience with them and opening new pots to know if they were, you know what I mean, to tell you they're good. I assume, based off of how much I enjoyed them, that they were good. And I think that Ascorbic uses a lot of Vallejo stuff. But that's, you know, I can't really speak on it. Maybe Ascorbic could hop on here and talk to us one night and tell us about it. He also uses a lot of Games Workshop stuff, and I have used a fair amount of Game Workshop stuff at this time, and I would say that I don't like their stuff. So, I mean, if they were to send me free stuff, you know, because I'm, you know, obviously painting a lot of miniatures, yeah, I would probably use it some, especially on like these kind of homemade minis, and play with it and see how it does. But as far as like taking it seriously as adding it back in, I'd have a hard time, because with their price points and the way they treat their fan bases and customers, I don't really want to give them my money. And that sounds really preachy. I'm sorry, but I tend to be kind of preachy. All right, I'm pretty happy with her for the most part. There are some touch-up areas we need to hit, like under her arm here. I did end up brushing her shoulder accidentally. That was terrible. But we can fix that with a little dab of tan in a minute here, after we get this next part done, because I'll probably get some more green on her. Knowing me and my sloppiness. Okay. Something like that. Wash my brush. Something bit me on the foot. Ow. Oh, mosquito. Awesome. I have these bright lights on above me and the garage door wide open. And for some reason, I didn't think mosquitoes would be biting me, as they always do. Like today was going to be different. So I'm down here in shorts and flip-flops again. Because, man, learning is for the birds. All right, so now I want to get another green. And I have that brand new English ivy. I have an old English ivy that's very wet, but this new English ivy is not very wet. It's actually pretty decent to work with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a size 3 brush. And this is that workhorse brush. And I'm not really going to add any water to it. I'm going to let it be a little chunky. And I'm going to create a little bit of variation on her. And this ivy green is kind of like an army OD, so there's definitely some brown in it, and maybe a little bit of gray in it too. And I do like the way it looks, but I'll tell you what, if you're not careful with it, using it over the wrong green or under the wrong green can look despicable. I do like the color a lot, though. It's probably one of my top 5 apple barrel paint colors. But yeah. All right, I'm pretty pleased with that. Now I'm going to get something a little lighter. I'm not washing out my brush in between. And this is called Palm Leaf. And then I'm just going to touch some of these top areas that need lit up with that. All right. I'm going to wash that brush and go back to something smaller. So for her medals, like her belting and stuff, and those little strings on her boob, I'm just going to get some of this greedy gold. And because I'm PG, I'm dragging that up to look like some kind of fancy underwear. And that's just my choice to do that. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. And then because I did make it underwear, I'm just going to come back on her butt and make a little gold back there. So it looks like she's wearing some sassy golden underwear. And then I'm just going to take the natural curve of her boobs and make her some fancy bra-shaped pasties. I'm going to put a little gold in the middle, and I'm going to drag it down from her shoulders, just so she's PG-13, because I do have little boys. Okay. You don't have to do that, obviously, if you don't want to, but that's how I did it. I'm just trying to make her a little more family-friendly. All right, so now we need to hit those eyes. I'm going to get a fractional brush and some off-white paint. And she reminds me a little bit of her dryad, so I think I want to do something a little different with her skin, too. But I haven't decided just yet. Oh, see, I messed up. Really bad. When you mess up really bad, you got to go back and fix it. My hand zigged when it should have zagged. I'm just going to repaint her nose. I'm going to come under her eye and make that tan. And then to make it match on this side, I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. Her eye's a little big because that's just the way the model is. It's a cheapy model. It's a HeroClick. So I'm going to really have to come in there and clean that part up some. All right. I'm not super happy, like I said, with her skin tone. She looks a lot like the Dryad. So let's paint her gloves and boots and then see what we can do to fix that. I'm not sure what color it even... Oh, I put my dang fractional brush down in water. I never put them in water. Let's see what color we can use to kind of darken that up. I have this dark stone color here. No, you know what? I have that dark gray blue. And that might take away the Dryad look a little bit, adding some blue to her. So I'd made some episodes, some videos about where I was like painting miniatures and making terrain. I made like 3 different ones where I talked about stuff at the table and things that you should and shouldn't do, and how to deal with problems in your party or problems with your DM and stuff, problems with your game store. And I decided not to upload those. I deleted them, and the reason is because I'll be honest with you, like, if somebody asks me how to handle that stuff, I would probably rather, unless it's like a ton of people asking how to handle that kind of stuff, I would rather not be putting that information out there. And I'll tell you a couple reasons why. Is one, in case anybody that I've ever had to use one of those techniques on were to watch my video, because again, I had the same players over and over and over again for years and years and years on end, and I've had to do things to call them to the side and talk to them about stuff, or do things in game to put them in check, just to remind them that they're not untouchable. And I really didn't want anybody from my campaigns to see how I tell you to handle that stuff. Because even Mrs. Doom has done stuff where I've had to be like, all right, you, come here. This is not about you. This is everybody. People like to become main characters. That's one thing that you have to know how to deal with. People, not everybody can be a main character. Nobody can be a main character. Unless everyone, as a group, the group has to be the main character. One person cannot be, or two people cannot be. It has to be a group focus. And obviously, those who interact with the director more are going to get more camera time. That's just naturally what will happen. Because you're not the writer of a story. You're the director. They are the writers and they are the actors. And you are just playing all the bystanders and cameos and stuff like that. That's all you are when you're playing D&D. I'm going to hit her with a hot air gun. And she definitely looks less like the Dryad now. I'm going to get a light blue. Like this periwinkle color here. Or sky blue. Ooh. Sound like it shattered. I'm going to get a small brush that's kind of fanned out. Something like this. I'm going to get that blue, and I'm going to wipe so much of that blue off that it's barely a dry brush, man. Okay. Then I'm just going to touch around. And it seems like I'm morely just picking up bad paint lines more than I am any kind of detail here. But it is, not significantly, but lightly. Picking up a little bit of detail. I'm trying to get those fingers to show a little better. There we go. Just like that. I want to do it, get a little bit more. I think I wiped way too much off there. But this is barely a dry brush. We want almost nothing left on here at all. Because we don't want to make this very pronounced. All right. Now, I'm not real happy with her skin tone still, even after all that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my little brush, and I'm going to get a piece of plastic. This is just a thing that super glue came in. I'm going to just drop a little of my soapy water in there. And I'm going to get a tiny bit of this color is called Barn Red. And I'm not sure if this is the color for the job. We'll see in a moment here. Get a little bit more water in there. Okay. I'm going to get the tiniest dab of Barn Red in this water. Okay. Then before you use this, you're going to want to wipe off a lot of that to where your brush is damp and it's not going to run everywhere. And then I'm going to give her a little bit of a pink tone. And as that dries, and I might have to do it more than once, we don't know yet. I'll make sure you wipe that off. You don't want that big glob of water hitting your mini. Definitely better, but not best. I'm just going to come back and hit some of these higher spots one more time with that. So there's a definitive pink texture there. Pink color there, I should say. I'm going to touch her face a little bit more with that. Let's put a little focus up here. Pink her up a little bit, and I think that'll do it. I just didn't want her to look that generic brown that she was. Now I'm going to get my... I have two more things we're going to do real quick here. I'm going to do red dots on her eyes. And I have her looking, it would be to her right. And then I'm going to do her lips. A little bit of that white and a little bit of that red. I'm just going to make a tiny little bit of a lighter red. Clean out my brush real quick. Cleaning out this brush. I'm going to go around the outside with some black. I got my Crapple Barrel paint. Now this brush, don't forget, I just washed this out so it's still damp. You never want to use this brush dry with this paint. It'll just smear it all around and leave lines and lumps. And a couple episodes ago I had to actually show where that happened because I was rushing and I didn't make sure my brush had any moisture in it, and it left horrible bumps all around the outside of the base. It looked terrible. We'll dry that off and we'll put some flock on here. Now after Medusa, I'm pretty sure it was Mephit. I did look, but I can't remember exactly. I think it was Mephit. I am not excited about Mephit. Any size tiny or size diminutive kind of creatures, you know, just fuck, man. Glue an ant to a base, you know. Such a pain in the ass. Okay, obviously we're going to do one, but man, I don't want to. It's like when I did the Dark Mantle, it's hard to do because it's little, and when I did the, just a ton of things that's small are hard to do. We're going to hit down to +200 on a burning. I'm going to get some clear glue. Now, I don't buy this clear glue over and over and over again because you guys are probably, if you've been watching since the beginning, you're like, man, that guy goes through a lot of clear glue. I actually bought it, like, I had this one, and then I bought this one, and then I just make a little paper funnel and refill this. Like, I am not buying this expensive-ass glue in this container every time because this is like $3.50, $4. That big tub 10 years ago was like $4. Now, obviously, it'd be $2 million, but 10 years ago it was like $4. Because I bought it pre whatever the hell's going on now. All right, let's get our flock. I'm going to use the same flock I always use, because this lasts forever if you kind of only use it for little stuff like I do. Boop, boop. I'm pushing it down a little bit because I felt like I didn't get my glue in there very good. You got to really push that glue into the holes if you want to get a good bond. Because don't forget, I'm not treating this in any way afterwards. I am only spraying this with clear coat. Like if you got to understand, if you don't have a good bond and let it dry before you clear coat even, this stuff will, as you're handling the miniature and over time, it'll start to come off if you don't have a good bond. So there is my looking to the right Medusa. I hope you guys liked it. I'll show you the book one. The book one did not look the same as mine. Again, and this one was an archer, and I forgot to give her a bow. We could have easily gave her a bow, but it's a little late now. But anyway, so that's the Medusa from the book. Here's our Medusa. You can tell it's a Medusa. Apparently, you can still tell it's the Marvel Medusa if you saw that hero click before. But anyways, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys sticking around to the end. That's insane. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon. Leave me a comment so I can answer it and respond to it. Like, not just like a good job, which I do appreciate, but then it's like, thank you. You know, like, but ask me a question about it, or say you hated this, or I should have done this. You know, something that I can like engage with. You know, that's fun. It's crazy. I love that so much. It's something at first that I thought was kind of annoying. I'm like, oh God, somebody said something. Now I like look forward to it, and I do appreciate the comments. But also run over to our Discord and check us out there, and our website, and buy some minis. The links for those are going to be in the description of this. So anyways, I'll see you next time when we start on the method.